OP08 is coming out in about a month. I want to say a month and a half, and they're starting to really get into review season on Twitter. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the thoughts that I have for all of the different leaders that they've come up with, and then maybe I can do a little bit of deck building for some of the leaders too. I've actually already done a little bit of playtesting with the new red blue Makco leader. I think it's pretty fun. It's really funny to do Sanji into Whitebeard consecutively, but other than that, the leader effect itself is pretty good for helping you with removing board. It does have its flaws, of course. I don't think it's going to be like best deck in format or anything like that, but we'll go through that in a little bit too. Okay, so first off, let's just look through all of the new leaders that they've released, and then after that, we'll talk through some of their effects, a little bit of like what I expect their decks to play like or be like, and if we don't have enough information, of course, then we'll have to wait for the full set release. But these are just some of my initial thoughts. So first we have Chopper. Chopper is, of course, our good boy. He is red-green. Effect is activate main once per turn. Give up to 3 of your animal or drum kingdom type characters one rested dawn. So it's definitely a interesting leader effect because it does give 3 rested dawn in one turn. So that's like red Luffy or dragon, but like 1 dawn extra. The difference being that it is type locked to animal or drum kingdom type characters. Right now we don't have a lot of details on what the archetype will be like. We haven't seen any reviews for it either, and the current like animal cards are limited and not super great, so we definitely will have to wait and see as to whether this will be good or not. When it comes to archetype locked leaders like Chopper, so far I guess the most relevant example is probably Bello Betty. It may still struggle because of the fact that, for one, you have to build cards locked into that archetype, so you can't like really play a lot of the strong generic cards. For example, this deck could probably still play 9 cost Zoro, it could still play Newgate, it could still play AC Dragon, 8 cost Kid, anything like that as well. But it will depend on how good the support is, and if those cards are good enough to warrant the leader being played, then I guess you will see some Chopper. But otherwise, it may end up just like Red Green Oden, where because it auto loses to Sakazuki or like removal decks in general, it doesn't end up seeing the light of day. And I think this may be the same case where Bello Betty, if you remove her board or you starve her, she'll struggle. Similarly, Chopper, if you remove his animals or his Drum Kingdom characters, he may struggle as well. Not only that, I think red-green right now is a pretty weak color combination because of the lack of just support in general that red has gotten for the past like 4 sets. Like the card pool that they've printed for red has been really shit ever since Whitebeard was meta. So we will see if we do end up getting more red decks playable in OP08. Alright, next up we do have Makco. So Makco is pretty interesting. There was a lot of hoo-ha about Makco being like best deck in format or anything. Oh, he can cycle just like Sakazuki. It's really not that strong, I think. The key thing here is because red power-based removal is really shit. Right now, the best red power removal you have is 5 cost Makco and then 6 cost Sabo. And those if you compare those 2 cards to things like 4 cost Lucci, you compare those cards to Hound Blaze, 7 cost Borsalino, they really don't like hold up personally. Yes, if you play 6 cost Sabo with your leader effect, you can KO up to 6k power combined, but at the same time, is it worth it? Probably not. The other thing is that the amount of power reduction in the game versus the amount of cost reduction in the game is pretty different. So if you look at the spells, for example, there isn't a 1 cost minus 5000 power spell because that will be broken, right? So there's no Ice Age for power. There's no Hina for power. On play minus 4000 power, something like that. We have 7 cost Ace. We have Seaquake, we have Crossfire. Some cards like those are playable, but at the same time, because you would also need the efficient removal. If there's no like 4 cost Lucci for red, then there isn't going to be a way that this deck plays the removal route. I think what's more likely is that you see this deck draw a lot of cards and then after that play for 9 cost Whitebeard consecutively with 9 cost Sanji, and that's how you will kind of see that big body spam work. When I was playtesting this deck a little bit, the most common lines that I would do is just Pilaf, leader effect, then leader effect Pilaf, then leader effect and 5 cost, then leader effect and 7 cost Ace or 5 cost Ace to rig my top deck, and then play down the Sanji the next turn into Whitebeard. So that's like the basic lines of the play for the leader. So you want to go second, you want to go either leader effect and Izo or Haruta into leader effect, and then after that on 3 you want to do Pilaf and leader effect, and then on on 4 you want to do Pilaf and leader effect. Then on 6 you want to do leader effect plus a 5 cost or a 4 cost, or Pilaf again because you really just want to make sure that you draw that 9 cost Sanji, and that's how you kind of really guarantee that victory or that resource battle where you just have a lot of big bodies, and every time a big body swings it's 3 hand cards or take a life, you know. And because of the fact that you are able to reduce your opponent's board's power significantly, so that's the way that you help to control your board. Like when your opponent hits you with something, you minus 2k and then you step into it. That's your way of managing resources. You just hit your opponent's board like that. Like it's really pretty strong. In terms of rush, you have 7 cost Ace, which also helps you to reduce power and then hit into the board. I was testing a little bit with Jet Pistol as well as the 5 cost version. I think it's Kong Gatling from the ST10, because it hits 8k and 9k power units respectively. But I also didn't feel super great about spending all my Dawn in a turn on the removal and not developing a body. So I think it really depends on whether they start creating cards that are I think like the new Jozu they released, where it bounces one of your own characters and then bounces a 6 cost character. If there is a card where they do more power based KO and they do it efficiently, so maybe like 5 costs on play KO 4k power, and that's the entire effect. I think that would be pretty good, because on curve it KOs the most 4 cost units. Similarly, like if there's a 7 cost Borsalino equivalent, 7 cost KO 5k power, you know, something like that. Then if it's on curve and it KOs a strong unit, then you may even find reasons to play things like Crossfire again, where you can do okay Crossfire and that 6 cost unit and I KO 9k or something like that. But for now, I think the main way I would play Makco is just draw a bunch of cards, search for Whitebeard, and then do Sanji into Whitebeard combo. That's probably the easiest way to play it right now. Okay, overall strength, by the way, since I didn't mention earlier, I think Chopper is probably right now, based on just the support, probably somewhere like C, like probably not playable, especially in the current meta. But if we're looking at I guess Makco would probably be like B tier right now. I think he would do well into maybe NL. If you're doing like Sanji Newgate, it should do well into NL. It would probably struggle into black. From my testing, Lucci is not a very good matchup because of Stasi. Because Stasi, you drop Sanji Newgate and he drops Stasi and KOs the Newgate, and then if you don't have a second Sanji Newgate, he drops Stasi again. It's probably going to be a bad time for you. On top of that, being of course the 4 life leader, you are a little bit weak in terms of defense, so you do need to have like more blockers or like more characters to protect yourself as well. He also probably will struggle with the red purple law, I think, unless you can really do consecutive Sanji into Newgate. You might die before 9 Dawn, so that's another issue that I can foresee. Other than that, let's move on to the green leader, which is Carrot. So Carrot's effect is activate main once per turn. If you have a Minx tribe character on your board, then you may rest one of your opponent's 5 cost characters. So this is meh, I guess. I think it will really depend on whether they print cards that are like, if your leader is a Mink tribe has Ming Trap in their traits, then do X or Y. If it is like if the support is not good enough, there's no point playing this leader over Bonnie or even Perona, because Perona also rests a 4 cost like without any condition, and this one requires you to have the Mink on board. So it will really depend on the support, and given Green's track record in the past couple of sets, I'm not super optimistic about it. I think Bonnie especially is going to be stronger than this because of the fact that it's generic, and even though you do have to pay 1 cost, you have to pay 1 Don, there is no cost limitation. So when your opponent is attacking, it's just a free attack negation basically. And other than that is also when the current Ming Trap cards aren't really strong, so we will really have to see the support that they print for it. It's very difficult to say. Right now my initial rating is like B, and if they print really good support for it, maybe it will push up to A. Okay, purple is next, so we have King and then later Pudding, I guess. So King's effect is activate main once per turn, Don -2, and then you can choose one of the following effects. If you have 5 or less cards in hand, draw 1 card, and if not, you can also do give one of your bonus characters -2 cost for the turn. So right now this is okay. I think it's like compared to Zephyr, for example, Don -2 is a lot cheaper, which makes it much more likely that you can continue to use it multiple times. When you're at 10 Don, Don -2 is free, for example. If you have Onigashima, when you're at 9 Don, it's free because you get to ramp back with Onigashima, so it's only Don -1. What else? Drawing extra cards is always good. Of course, it's limited to hand size so that you can't just continue to farm all the way, but it does help with Black's problems with hand size in general. Other than that, I think the cost -2 on demand is pretty good as well. The one issue that I see is that, of course, the cost -2 comes like you have to Don -2 to cost -2. So normally for Black, you want to do like a cost minus card and then a KO card. But if you have to pay Don -2 to cost minus, you may not have enough Don left over to play your big KO card, right? So that's the current, I guess, problem that you have. One funny combo is if you have 2 5-cost kids, you can do Toy Soldier into leader effect and KO a 10 cost with 10 cost Kuzan. But I think it requires like a lot of setup. I don't think it makes sense to play for that. But I think 10 cost Kuzan is a pretty strong card in general. Otherwise, you would also, of course, probably still be playing Moria in this deck. One really strong card for this is the 4 cost Hitokiri Kamazo, the 2 cost 2k counter one, which does, when you Don minus, you can KO a 2 cost character. So effectively with your leader effect, when you Don minus, you can KO a 4 cost character. Or if you have other things on board, for example, you have the new 7 cost King, which KOs, I believe it's a 4 cost when you rest it, or is it a 3 cost? Yes, it was Jack. Yeah, KO is a 3 cost character. So Don -2 with leader, so you KO a 5 cost. You do get to cycle a card, which is pretty strong too. So I guess it's kind of like the 5 cost Garb from the black starter deck, but just bigger. One thing that I think the leader will really want to see is that 4 cost Kamazo, and I think the 2 cost one-legged soldier is really good because it's 2 costs which is perfect for Don -2. So you put down the 2 cost soldier, you send it to trash, then you Don -2, and then you could even play Moria with the remaining 8 Don and call the soldier back again. So that means you can do Don minus, you can do cost -8 with just the Moria and 1 toy soldier, and the Kamazo would KO at 10 cost. So that's pretty strong. Double-sided KO wise, it would be probably a little bit more difficult. I think in general they're trying to make double-sided KO with the Lucci a little bit less accessible, which is why of course Great Eruption is off the table now. They're not printing any more Ice Ages. Ice Age in general is also less popular right now in OP07, because of the fact that most decks are playing like multiple big bodies, so you won't really get the chance to do double-sided removal as often anymore. Like for example, if anyone was playing like 8 into 10, you're not gonna clear both of those like very easily or at all with even with Moria and with Ice Age. Um, but I think just the Kamazo and Toy Soldier combo is going to be really powerful with this deck, just because of the fact that it KOs like 10 costs, or it can KO like basically anything on play. The fact that this deck also just got the Queen Searcher, the 1 cost Queen Searcher, is also really good because it, of course, it looks for Onigashima, and it's playable off of Moria. The one sad thing is that it doesn't find the 5 cost Queen, but you may not even want to play 5 cost Queen in this deck because you can also play 5 cost Sabo instead, and the protection effect is really strong. So I'm foreseeing the curve being like Queen into Onigashima into either 5 cost Sabo or a 6 cost unit, or if you're going second, you can do the 7 cost Jack, and then you will probably play Moria on 8. So you will go 1 3 6 9. Or if you want to play ramp, you can play a ramp unit on 6 instead, like maybe All Sunday or Bonclay, and then that will put you at, I believe, 1 3 6 10 with Onigashima. So you go 1 3 6 10, and on 10 you can do Toy Soldier, Moria, Kamazo, Toy Soldier again, and KO, I believe it is -6. Yeah, you can do -6 and -2 with leader, so it's -8. So you can KO a 10 cost with Toy Soldier Moria combo. So that's really strong. I guess you could also do it with Helmeppo, but I feel like there wouldn't be space to put it in. So I will probably be like building a little bit of a skeleton for this. But the core units will definitely be Kamazo, Toy Soldier, Moria, and then maybe we'll try to fit in 10 cost Kuzan, because 10 cost Kuzan KOs, if you have Kamazo on the board and you do Kamazo into 10 cost Kuzan into leader effect, the Kamazo KOs are 9 cost. So that's really strong as well. But I think everything just depends on Kamazo like sticking, which is not that easy. But in theory, if on your 9 Dawn turn you do Kamazo into Sabo, so you protect the Kamazo from being destroyed, you can leader effect KO a 4 cost, and then the next turn, like let's assume you have Onigashima, right? So on 9 you play Kamazo Sabo, and then the next turn you do Kuzan into KO a 5 cost into leader effect KO a 9 cost. I think that is a really, really strong combo. But it always depends on the Kamazo staying on board, which is of course going to be a difficult ask, which is why we will want to play the Sabo. I think it's kind of like when you're playing like mono black, you want to play 4 cost Kuzan into 10 cost Kuzan, and the 4 cost Kuzan has to stick in order for that combo to work. Similarly, in this case, you want to play 4 cost Kamazo into 10 cost Kuzan, and you need the Kamazo to stick in order to play that combo out. Okay, next we will, oh yes, sorry, rating wise, I think King has a lot of potential, depending on the rest of the support. So far we have Onigashima Searcher, which is really strong, like a 1 cost Searcher, and other than that, I think the main thing will be like at the 1 or 2 cost line in terms of like reduction. What other kind of options do we get? I don't think King will be able to play with Rankyaku because there's no way to like consistently fill trash. But we may see like of course Ice Age will probably be a reasonable card to see in the deck, because Ice Age with leader effect is cost -7, with the Kamazo that hits 9 already. In terms of 2 cost reduction, nothing really springs to mind at the moment. Maybe Laboon, something like that, on 4 cost -4, -2 again with the King effect, and then after that you can KO with one of the KO cards. The main thing is that you have to always do cost reduction first, and then you need to have a KO card that is cheaper than the cost reduction. I guess one option is Ragnarok, the 5 cost event that KOs 8. With your leader effect, you can KO like 10 costs for 5. Of course, you do need to Dawn -3 to do that, but it is definitely an option. We'll definitely see a little bit more about how the deck will play out closer to release, especially with the new support. But currently, the support looks pretty strong already. Okay, next we have yes, Kalgara. So we have Kalgara. Kalgara's effect is Dawn ×1 when attacking. You may play a character with the Shandora Warrior archetype with a cost equal to the number of Dawn on your board. So if you have 6 Dawn, you can play a 6 Dawn character from your hand. This includes the Dawn that you're attaching to him because it's Dawn on your board, not just Dawn in your cost area. So that's pretty strong. For example, in your on your 10 Dawn turn, you can attach one to him and then swing and then play a 10 cost Shandoran Warrior. Assuming they print one, right? Right now the highest cost you have is 5. And then after that, the second part of this effect is if you do play a character with this effect, then add the top card of your life to your hand. So I think this is pretty strong. It cheats out like up to 10 Dawn unit, depending on like what they print, at the cost of 1 life. So kind of like Iceberg, in the fact that you can cheat out like bigger units earlier, or you can cheat out extra units maybe. I think again it will really depend on the amount of support. Tentatively it seems pretty strong because you can do leader effect into Yamato, leader effect into Katakuri to heal, things like that, and those are just very strong combos in general. The searcher for Sky Island is Shura, which is a 2 cost and does come with a trigger, which is nice. I think the amount of basically how Bandai seems to be balancing like black being very strong, like in removal being very strong in general, is just by making it such that every deck can flood board a bit better, or like decks are incentivized to flood board a little bit more. So like in this case, you're looking to flood like multiple, probably like high cost characters on the same turn. So if you like Katakuri into 9 cost Shandoran, Yamato into 10 cost Shandoran, something like that, and that would be pretty powerful and difficult to deal with even as a black leader. Similarly with Makco, it would be like Sanji into 9 cost Newgate, Sanji into 9 cost Mihawk, etc, etc. And then Chopper wants to have at least 3 characters on board all the time. I don't know what Carrot will do, but some of the Minks do play off having other Minks on the board, or putting other characters on the board. I think like Wanda and Shishilian. And I think of course Moria always plays 3 characters at once with the 8 cost Moria. Purple will be looking to just spam multiple big drops earlier than your opponent, making it difficult to remove. So I think that's just the angle that they're going for, which is play a lot of big costs so your opponent can't remove everything. That's how we are balancing black, and we're going to make it harder for them to clear everything, which is I guess is one way to power creep the game. It makes me sad for Red Green Law because like, oh yeah, I can put multiple 5 costs down, and then every other deck is putting multiple 10 costs down. But it is what it is. I think this leader again will really depend on the strength of the Shandora cards they printed. For now, the best target is a 5 cost 7k, which is not bad, but it's not great. It's not good enough to warrant it being meta, I think. And I'm looking forward to see what kind of support they do print out for this. Another thing is, of course, this means Ace, Yamato, and Katakuri will continue to be expensive and strong because of the fact that this is going to be generic yellow cards and then some Shandoran cards to supplement it. Okay. Next, we will look at Pudding, because I totally skipped her earlier, and I believe she's the last leader because there's only 6 leaders this set as usual. So Pudding's effect is when attacking, you may reveal the top 2 cards of your life face up. So you may flip them face up from face down and ramp 1 Rested Dawn from your Dawn deck. So this guarantees 1 ramp. Like every game, you are guaranteed to ramp on your second turn, and then whether you can ramp again on the third turn will depend on number 1 what you draw, and number 2 whether your opponent decides to hit you. There are a few cards that are really good for helping you to re-ramp. So for one, you have the Viola blocker from EVO1, 2 costs, flips all of your life face down. You have 6 costs Edward Newgate, look at all of your cards, rearrange them, and then put 1 card from your life to the top of your deck. Or you also draw 1 card to your life. So it's like a good way to rig and rearrange your life and everything as well. One thing is that You also have the 2-cost Flame Dragon Emperor, Flame Dragon King event from ST13. 2 costs, look at all of your life and rearrange it, plus 4k counter. And then lastly, I think Hiyori is also a good option. Makino is also a good option. Flampe is also a good option. Basically anything that helps you like take your life or rearrange it is going to be strong, because you can just rearrange like the bottom 2 life to the top, and then now that your top 2 life are face up, face down, you can flip it open again and ramp again. So I guess that's the current idea that I have with the pudding deck. You want to ramp 2 times on your 3 dawn turn and then your 6 dawn turn, and then from there you want to go to 9 or 10 as soon as possible. And then on 9 and 10 you want to play Yamato, you want to play 10-cost Big Mom, or you want to play 10-cost Ace. So this deck would just want to legit ramp up fast and then big drop, big drop, big drop. So this deck will probably have 2 components, life flippers and then ramp. Like you will probably want maybe only Bond Clay as your ramp option, and then you want 10-cost Big Mom. Yeah, I think that's basically the entire deck. You will run Pudding, you will run probably Queen in order to draw cards a little bit faster. What else would you run? I think those would be the main thing. I don't think like people running Zorojuro or whatever makes sense. Like you are only going to ramp 1 time the entire game, like, and your ramp is just going to be, hey, on my 3 dawn turn I attack and I ramp, and I'm going to either search or I'm going to maybe like smack you for 7, like, or smack you for 8. You know, there's no need to put so much ramp in the deck, because you're not going to de-ramp. Like the main goal is to just flip your life face down and then ramp again with your leader effect. I think that's enough. So rather than Zorojuro or like other ramp cards, I think you just want to play like Viola or 6-cost Newgate, and then that's basically it. I think it would be funny if you played Kaido, Big Mom, Newgate and Shanks, like the yellow 7-cost Shanks, just so you could say you run all the Emperors in the deck. But I think 7-cost Shanks is actually not a bad call, because you can flip the top life face down. Like after you use your leader effect, you're guaranteed to have 2 face up life, like on your 4 dawn turn. So if your opponent has the necessary hand size, it will actually be a pretty strong way to flip your life face down and then ramp again and then play your 10-cost on turn 4. Because you will go 1, 4, 7, 10 if you get to ramp 2 times on 4 and 7. All that being said, I think Pudding has potential to be really strong. I think you would see her probably like A tier maybe, like, because of the fact that you can consistently do 10 mom early, you can consistently do big drops early in general. The main difference between Pudding and, of course, like Purple Yellow Crocodile, which is the other Purple Yellow leader currently, is that she can play Big Mom, like the 10-cost Big Mom, which incentivizes like that playstyle, I guess, to find more of the big drops and then play them more consecutively. So I think the main thing will be consistency for this deck. You want to play Pudding, you want to play the Searcher event, maybe you play Parasparrow, and then you just play 10 Mom, 10 Ace, 7 Mom Yamato. I think that's the deck. And of course you want to have Viola and 6-seed Newgate and maybe the 2-cost Kaien Ryo event also. So those are probably the baseline like deck list that I would have for Pudding. And I do want to do a quick like little like deck building session as well, just to like do a bit of theory crafting. So we will get into that really quickly. But yeah, I think this is basically the end of the leader review. Thanks for hanging out so far. I will be probably uploading this on YouTube later, and then we will, talk through them in my comment section below later too.